Welcome back, everybody. Let's move on to the eye. For the eye shape to show up, we need an eyeball as reference, or two eyeballs. What we can do here is then into the subtool and add a new geometry. This subtool is like the list of all the geometry available or you created in the production process. You can insert a sphere here, and you can see now there's one more thing in the list. Okay, it's a huge sphere, so I'm going to scale it down by using the scale. But you can also see move does the same thing. All you have to do is drag that little yellow square in the middle to make it smaller. Now it's inside of the mouse. The head, I cannot really see it. To see it, then I can turn on the transparency. This is going to make everything else transparent, and I can make the ball smaller and drag it forward and put it down there. Okay, and drag it to the side. And maybe go in a little bit more. Now, things you want to pay attention to is where does it locate in the vertical direction. It's not like right in the middle, but slightly higher. Okay. And from the side view, you can then refine the shape. You can more or less fit in one more eyeball between the two eyeballs. Okay. And let me make it just a little bit smaller. Okay. Alright, now I have only one eyeball. I need another eyeball on the other side. To achieve that, let me turn off transparency for now. You can go to geometry and modify topology. There is a mirror and weld to mirror it. Now if your eyeball happens to be on the other side, then let me control Z. You have to go to the deformation and then you mirror it. That's basically more like a flip. Right, you flip it first to the right side of the head, right, and then you go for a mirror and weld. That's going to mirror it to the other side. Okay, all right. Let's go back to draw and try to sculpt on the face. You can see you're not really sculpting it because you're now on this eye subtool, and you can actually sculpt on the eye. Right, let me control Z. To go back to the head, you can either just select it in the list, or you can alt click on any subtool to switch to them. Okay. Alright, so now let me go to the DEM standard and start carving in the area around the eyeball to figure out where the eyelid is. Okay. Now there are other ways of achieving this, but I just get used to just manually brute force sculpting these. It's not that bad. Okay. So after that, I can use move to drag out the eyelid. Okay, drag that out and drag the corner of the eye in. Now, one thing that's worth mentioning is that the eye is not facing forward in a straight way, or so the seam feels like. If you look at the arc here, you can see this arc. The end of the corner on the outside, it's not going to be the same on the same line. If I can draw that out. So that's where the end is. I'm dragging a mask, control and drag to create a big square. If you drag from the outside, you can make a marquee selection to mask stuff. So I'm just gonna try to do that here. You can see the corner of the eye on the outside lands here. The inside lands not there, but a little bit above in this angle. Okay, let me clear the mask. So in other words, you don't have to push this in too much. It's not gonna be really deep. Okay, and now we have the basic proportion of the eye, but it's nowhere near a perfect eye, but we have something to work with now. Okay, so I'm going to use move to pinch in the corner of the eye on the inside. Okay, and then refine the contour of the eyelid. Now this again will highly depending on your character. It's not going to be the same for everyone, so it's important that you look at your model and see how does your model looks like. Okay, all right. So go ahead and give this a go. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna encourage you to spend, I don't know, 10-20 minutes again on the shape of the eye, right? Take your time and really try to look at your reference and see how does the shape looks like. You want to really map the contour, and also go to different angles and see if you're getting the correct result. Okay. Think about the arc I was talking about earlier. Oh, one more thing. From the side view, you can also see this one is more in the front. The top is more in the front than the bottom. Okay, so yeah, let's spend some time and do this part. Okay. Alright, welcome back. So after that, we can then start to define the structure around the eye, because it's not going to be like this. It's more like you have the eyeball, you have the eyelid around it, and the surrounding is more like a socket, and you have the dipping in part around it. So let me use stamp standard to start digging in here, and use clip build up also to push the surface in, just to figure out the correct contour. Sometimes I push them out just to, you know, refine the contour of the eyelid. Okay. You can see I'm trying to figure out this area. That's the bottom of the eyelid, or the eye bag, more or less. Some people hate to have that. Okay. Anyway, now we're not having a really high resolution model, so it's really hard to achieve a really smooth result, but that's okay. We are trying to figure out the generic shape, the bigger structure. So we're not really worrying too much about the cleanness yet, but just basically figuring out, you know, the correct proportion and location of different structures, but not necessarily to have the perfect shape yet. Okay. And I also want my character to have like a double eyelid, so I can just indicate that a little bit. Again, I cannot really achieve that with this resolution, but I can have something up there to indicate that. So I have a better idea of where the eye is in total. And when I look at it now, I'm thinking maybe my eyebrow is a little high, so let me bring it down a little bit. Okay. And here you can also try to figure out how does the eyelid blend to the top. Okay. Like this area, you can look at your reference. From this particular angle, you can see how does this part bulging out, right? And how does this bone ends. Right? Think about all these possible structures that you can see from all different angles, and that's why it's important that you have different angles when you're gathering reference, because you need to see all these, right? One important tip is that when you're sculpting a character, you're not just sculpting different areas, but rather you're tweaking their relationship. Okay, so you can see now I'm tweaking where the cheekbone is. Okay, because I want to really get the correct contour from this angle, and that's one of the really important things. In this stage, I also encourage you to use move brush more, because move brush really forces you to think big picture, right? You're not doing details with move brush. Okay, so that's gonna help you to really think about, you know, is this bumpiness right? Is this up and downs correct? Look at your reference and follow that. Okay, make sure that you're getting the correct shape you wanted to create, right? Now on the mouse, I'm thinking maybe those two should be closer to each other, so that's what I'm tweaking. Okay, so you can see I'm roaming around sometimes, not necessarily to stay at one point, because in this stage we're still tweaking bigger picture, so it would be wise to always try to see if there's something wrong all of the places, not just one thing and trying to make that perfect. Okay. Again, in this stage, we're not trying to achieve any fancy detail at all, but rather the bigger picture. So I'm thinking from the bottom view, am I getting the correct corner? Am I getting the surroundings correctly, like the bumpiness around it? Okay. Go to different angles and see if you can spot any problem you see. And I'm gonna stay here for enough long, so in the next tutorial, it's gonna be a muted tutorial that I am doing the tweaking. I'm not gonna say anything, and you can also just spend enough time on this and just try to make the shape as close as to your reference as possible. Okay? Alright, see you next time.